Hey there, my name is Scarlett and I'm 30 years old. I've read a lot of posts here, but this is my first time writing, so bear with me if it's all over the place. I'm also still healing from this incident, so I thought that sharing it would make me feel better. John and I were the perfect example of a perfect couple, or so I thought. We met at a mutual friend's party 5 years ago, and sparks flew instantly. It didn't take long for us to realise that we were meant to be together. We got married 2 years later, surrounded by friends and family. Our relationships had its fair share of ups and downs, just like any other couple, but what made us different was our strong belief in communicating everything we felt or thought. We made it a point to discuss our problems openly and honestly. It always allowed us to find a way to work things out. John had so many qualities that I absolutely loved about him. Some of them are his kindness, his complete support, and most of all, the way he could make me laugh even on my darkest days. But all of that came crashing down one fateful night when I accidentally saw a message on John's phone that broke my trust and destroyed our marriage. You see, John and I respected each other's privacy and never snooped through each other's phones. We believed in each other having some privacy of our own, so it was never a necessity to look into what the other was doing on their phone. However, curiosity got the better of me that night. That night, while John was taking a shower, his phone began to flood with messages. His phone was lying on the nightstand, and I got concerned about the number of messages that were making his phone buzz so much. I decided to look at his lock screen to see who was texting him. The contact labelled Michael Work caught my eye. I wanted to leave it at that and tell John that someone from work was urgently trying to contact him, but I was just so curious. I knew deep down that invading his privacy was wrong, but I just felt like there was something wrong. It was like an itch that needed to be scratched. And so, against my better judgment, I gave in to the temptation and picked up his phone. My heart broke as I opened the messages. The contact was in no way a Michael from work. It was a woman. When I opened the messages, I was immediately greeted with a naked picture of a woman and the message, "I cannot wait to see you next weekend, fiancé." My body felt like it was going numb. I kept scrolling upwards in their chat and realised that John had started seeing this other woman right around the time that I was depressed. You see, I was going through a very difficult time in my life at the time. I had lost my father, and I was spiralling into a deep depression. I felt like there was a thick fog that had settled over my mind and body, because I couldn't bring myself to even move on most days. Every day seemed like a battle. I needed John more than ever at that time. To think that when I was at my worst, instead of supporting and helping me, John was finding comfort in someone else. The fact that our entire marriage had been a lie was beyond heartbreaking. I felt like a fool because I kept thinking about how I missed the signs. When John came out of the shower, he saw his phone in my hand and my pale face. He immediately knew that I had found out about his affair. He looked guilty and ashamed. When I asked him about it, he seemed surprised by how upset I was. I could see him struggling to find an excuse for his actions, but all he could say was that he planned to marry his mistress, who lived far away in Germany. He even invited me to witness his unholy union as well. How could you do this to me? How could you plan to marry your mistress without even telling me, and inviting me to the wedding? As if it's some kind of sick joke?
I never wanted to hurt you, but I've made my decision. I've fallen in love with someone else. We've been together for a while now, and I can't ignore my feelings anymore. How can you talk about love when you've been lying to me all this time? I trusted you. I thought we had something special, something worth fighting for. But you've completely broken that trust. How can you just throw away everything we've built together? It wasn't an easy decision. I struggled with it for a long time. But I can't ignore my feelings anymore. I deserve to find happiness too, even if that means that I have to hurt you in the process. I can't keep living a lie.
So what? Our years of relationship mean nothing to you now? You can just throw it all away for a new romance?
I don't understand how you could do this. I thought we were meant to be. I'm sorry if this hurts you, but I have to follow my heart. I can't live a life that's not true to myself. I've made my choice and I won't apologize for it. I hope one day you can understand and find it in your heart to forgive me. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you, John. His words hit me hard. How could he plan all this without me knowing? How could he invite me to their wedding, knowing what he had done? I felt an overwhelming amount of hurt. John didn't even seem apologetic, and barely even apologized. Honestly, that's what made it even worse. I didn't know when I started crying, but I cried for a long time as I tried to process everything. The person I trusted the most had hurt me in the worst possible way, and I was left with nothing but pain. Days blurred into nights, and our home, which was once filled with joy, became filled with sadness and tension. I couldn't keep living there and seeing John's face. Every time I did, I either wanted to burst into tears or hit him, so I decided to go over to my best friend, Jess's house. I had told her about everything that had happened, so when I got there, she gave me the biggest hug and let me cry into her shoulder for a long while. She got us tubs of ice cream and lined up a bunch of cheesy rom-coms for us to watch, because she knew that that was how I had always processed difficult breakups. Thanks to Jess, I was able to slowly start healing. But as time passed, my best friend could see that I was losing hope. She couldn't stand to see me wallow in my sadness any longer, so she told me to stop it and start planning for what to do next. I feel like I'm drowning in this pain. I can't go on like this. Everything seems so hopeless. I understand how hurt you are, but we can't let this define you. You're stronger than you think. It's time to stop wallowing. But how? How can I possibly move forward when everything feels so shattered? We'll fight fire with fire. We'll show John that he made the biggest mistake of his life. Let's plan a trip. A getaway to Germany. We'll go for a few days before he arrives. It's time to turn the tables and make him feel the pain he's made you feel. Revenge? Is that really the answer? Revenge. Justice, call it whatever you want. We won't let him get away with breaking your heart. We'll remind him of what he's lost. It sounds tempting, but will we be able to pull it off? Of course we will. Along with it, we'll also remind you of your strength, and maybe, just maybe, we'll find a new beginning for you. You deserve happiness. Okay, let's do this. Let's give John a taste of his medicine. That's the spirit! So what's the plan? Well, we'll definitely be going to Germany. Do you want to maybe cause a scene at his wedding? Or hear me out. I go back and pack my suitcase for the trip. Along with my stuff, I also carry his passport with me. He won't be able to travel, and the wedding won't happen when he wants it to. That's my girl! That's a brilliant plan! I'll take care of the travel and stay. You do what you just said. This is going to be awesome. As Jess and I finalised our plan, I couldn't help but feel excited. I finally felt hopeful for the future after days of feeling like I would never be able to live past John's betrayal. I returned home with energy. I packed my suitcase and carefully folded each item. I then went into our cupboard and took out John's passport. I carefully put it in my suitcase. I couldn't help but feel happy when I imagined the panic and confusion that would happen when John realised that his passport was missing and that his carefully laid out wedding plans would fall apart. As Jess and I boarded the plane to Germany the next week, I felt so excited and also a little nervous. I was excited. After all, I knew that our trip was going to be an adventure, but nervous because I knew that this trip was also going to be my revenge on John. I also felt a deep sense of satisfaction that I was finally taking control of my life. The weight of John's betrayal slowly began to lift as I remembered just how much power I had over John at that moment. While I was thrilled that I was getting my revenge, I still felt a really deep sadness. I grieved over the loss of my great relationship. Thanks to Jess, who offered me complete support, I found strength in the friendship that had kept me going through the darkest days. The vacation that Jess had planned for us was amazing.
We explored the charming streets of Germany, strolled through picturesque towns, and indulged in delicious local cuisine. Every moment was filled with discoveries and unforgettable experiences. Jess had created an itinerary that included visits to all the best landmarks, cozy cafes, and even a rejuvenating spa day. It was a vacation filled with laughter and adventure, and it was something that helped me forget about all the pain I had been experiencing in the past few weeks. I only remembered the pain because one day my phone began flooding with calls and messages from John. I ignored him initially because I wanted to forget all about him, but then I remembered why he was calling me. I had his passport. I couldn't help but let out a laugh as I let another one of his calls go to my voicemail. Eventually I felt a little bad and picked up his call.
Scarlett, oh thank God you picked up! I need you. Have you seen my passport? I can't find it anywhere.
Oh, so now you realise the importance of being organised. How careless of you to misplace something so crucial.
This is serious. I have to travel, and without my passport everything falls apart. Can't you understand that?
Of course I understand, but it's not my responsibility to keep track of your belongings. Maybe you should have thought about that before cheating on me.
This is not the time for your games, Scarlett. I need your help, and you're being difficult.
Help? Why would I help you? You made your choices. Now you have to face the consequences.
This is ridiculous. I can't believe you being so heartless. I thought we were better than this.
Better than this? You broke my heart and shattered our marriage. Do you expect me to forgive you just like that? You're just reaping what you sowed.
I get it. I messed up with you, but I'm trying to make it better. Just help me.
I can't. I'm sorry. All the best, John.
You know what? Forget it. I'll find it myself.
With every day that passed, John's anxiety increased. He told me in a text that this was his final chance to meet his mistress, whom he had promised her countless times before. He told me that so I would take pity on him and help him out. I couldn't help but laugh. I couldn't believe how well my revenge had played out. Finally, I felt like the tables had turned in my favour. I simply suggested that John apply for a new passport. I knew that the process would take time, or his plans wouldn't be able to play out, and John would lose out on everything. I could sense his frustration through the phone, along with a mixture of anger and defeat. At that moment, I felt like I had won. It was a bittersweet satisfaction to know that I held the upper hand. I had made him taste a fraction of the pain he made me feel. Underneath everything, I felt really sad. It hurt to realise that our relationship had fallen apart and had reached this. It hurt to think about how easily he had broken all his promises to me and how much joy I got from getting revenge on him for it. I couldn't help but wonder how his relationship with the other woman was going while our marriage was breaking. Did they manage to work, though John not reaching there, or did they also fall apart like John and I had? I got my answers soon enough. John's mistress ended things because he didn't come through for her. When he got desperate, he called me, begging for my forgiveness and asking me to come back to him.
Baby, please just listen to me. I made a mistake, a terrible mistake. I can't live without you. I need you to forgive me and give me another chance.
Do you honestly think I would take you back after what you've done? You had an affair, John, and not just any affair. You were planning to marry your mistress while still pretending to be my husband. How could you even have the audacity to come back to me now?
I was lost, baby. I thought I could find happiness elsewhere, but I was wrong. I realized that what we had was real, and I wanted to make it right.
You expect me to believe that? You were ready to throw our entire relationship away for someone else, and now that she's gone, you think you can just come back to me? Do you see how you've treated me? Like some second option?
No, baby, you're not a second option. You've always been the most important person in my life. I made a mistake, but I'm willing to do whatever it takes to make it up to you.
It's too late, John. The damage is done, and I deserve better than to be someone's backup plan. You'll receive the divorce papers soon. It's time for us to go our separate ways.
Baby, don't do this to us. Please give me another chance.
No, John. Stop calling me baby. I'm not doing anything to us. You did this to us. This is the end. I deserve happiness and trust, and I won't settle for anything less. Goodbye. After hanging up the phone, I felt a mix of feelings. Angry, hurt and disappointed. For a second, as I listened to John beg to me to take him back, I remembered our relationship. I remembered how happy I was, and I almost gave in to the thought of taking him back. But then I remembered just how hurt I felt when I found out that John had cheated on me when I was at my worst. I knew that I simply couldn't go back to him. I felt strong and determined because I knew I deserved better. Letting go of our dreams was hard, but staying in a bad relationship would hurt me even more. Despite the pain, I felt hope and freedom. The weight of his betrayal was lifting, and I could see a future where I was happy. Step by step, I rebuilt my self-esteem and felt valuable again. This was the start of a new chapter, where I would focus on my happiness and never settle for less than love and respect.